Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at how you can build a Crud application using C Sharp and by using a .NET framework, and how you can connect it to SQL Server database. Before moving on, you need three things. You need to install Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition and Microsoft SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio (SSMS). All of these links will be provided in the description, so kindly download that. So after that has been downloaded, what you need to do is you need to open Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 and you're going to create a new project. And in the new project, we're going to search .NET Framework, and then you have to select uh, this application, ASP.NET Web Application .NET Framework, and make sure to select the one with the C Sharp mentioned in it. Do not select this one. Yeah, don't select this one. Both of these have the same name, but this one is for Visual Basic and we are building in C Sharp. So uh, please don't do that and select this carefully. Okay, moving forward, now select name. I'm going to name it Web Crud Application, and I'm going to choose a path. Let me see. Okay, great. I've set the path, I've set the source name, and now I'm going to select the framework. Make sure it's on 4.7.2 and then hit create. And now on this window you need to click on web forms, and now your project will be created. And in the meanwhile, let's open SSMS. Okay, so SQL Server Management Studio is open now, and here you can select like your server name. Obviously, whatever your like, you don't need to touch this, just click on connect, and this is your server name. Then these are your databases, and then on each database you have different tables. You can view them here. Okay, now the project is created as well. Okay, so let's look at SSMS later. Firstly, what we need to do is we need to close this and then right click on web CRUD application and click on add. Now click on new item. Now we're going to select web form. Okay, and now we're going to add it. Okay, now this is added now, and we have, now click on this design. This is where you can design it. Okay, so let's just build a template at first. Okay, what do you need to do? You click on view and then click on toolbox. This toolbox will appear, and now what do we need to do? We need, just a second, let me just expand it. Let's build an employee CRUD application. Okay, so we need text fields. These are called text boxes, and make sure you select these ones. Do not select these HTML ones, we do not need that. Then drag and drop it here, and after that you can see that you can't move it anywhere. That's because this is sort of a text based field. So just put your cursor behind it, and now you can just give me a second. Yeah, now you can modify it to wherever you want. Okay, I'm going to name it first name, and now let me just move it, just a second, here. First name, and then you know what, just let's give just one more space. Second name, and then we're going to add another box. Here we go, and then space this out just like before. Second name, okay. My bad, it's not second name, it's last name. Last name. Okay, let's expand it a bit more. Let's add a few more fields. Let's add age. Let's add what else should we add? Oh my bad. Let's add email. Okay, we have email here, and now let's add another thing, cell phone number. Okay, how many fields do we have? 1 2 3 4 5. Let's add another one. Title, my bad. First title or designation. You know what, position sounds good. Position. And now we're going to drag and drop this again. Okay, so now our form is designed. Now we need to set up a few things. Now click on each text box, and if you come here, let me show you where. Here in the bottom right corner, we need to set the value of the variable. This, let's name it fname. Enter. This is important because when we build the logic for it, we are going to be accessing it using that logic. I'll name, same goes for age, email, cell phone, position. Okay, so I think that's set up, and now we're going to add some buttons. let's add some buttons. Since this is a CRUD application, we need 4 buttons. And now you might be wondering, how do we rename this? We can rename this on like the same panel. Just find the section called font and then called text. We're going to rename it into insert. You can see that it has changed to insert. Okay, and let's add a new button called update. Let's add another one called delete. Let's add another one called read. Okay, now these 4 buttons are added, and if you remember from like the fields, we need to set up their variable names as well. So I'm going to set this up as read, and again we are doing this so we can access this in the code. Delete. Mm, del. My bad. Del. Okay, this has been updated. Now this insert. Okay, now we have the variable set up and everything. Now what do we need to do in order to connect it to the database? Uh, you know what, let's first create a table in the SSMS. We already logged into this, and if you want to create a new database, just create a new database here. Just select the name of the database and click OK. A database will be created. I've already created one, so I'm not going to recreate it. I'm using this database called university. Like whatever the name of your database is, doesn't matter, just click on plus and then click on tables. Right click on tables and then click on new and then table. We will see something like this. Okay, so let's add a few columns. Okay, I missed one thing. Let me add it here. Okay, ID is really important in all of the fields. Just a second. Yeah, ID, because that's how we will access everything. And let's rename it here as well. ID. Great. And now let's increase the height as well. Sorry, my bad. Here we go. Looks great. Okay, so coming back to this, we were creating some columns. These column names will be the same as this form. Let's add them one by one. ID, and ID will be, let's put everything as varchar 50. Sounds great. Okay, and then first name, uh, last name. What else do we have? Age, age, email, cell phone, position. Great, and then we're going to uncheck this so no null value is stored in the database. You can choose any data type. I'm just choosing this for everything. Great. Okay, so let's change the name of the date. Okay, so me yeah. So when this is created, now double check that everything is in place. We have ID, first name, last name, age, email, cell phone, position. ID, first name, last name, age, email. You can see that we've missed one thing called email. So let's add it here. Email. Oh, but that's already added. My bad. Okay, let's delete the column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we have 7 columns here, and then we're going to press Ctrl S to save it. Now it's asking for a name for the table. What do we put it? Let's call it employee. You know what? Let's call it yeah, employees web, or web employees, because I already have a column called employees, so it will conflict with that. So then therefore I'm naming it web employees. Now click on OK. Now you can see that you do not see that table here, and that's because we haven't refreshed it yet. Now click on this button here. This will refresh it. Now you can see that web employees has appeared here. Okay, and this is currently empty now. You can close it, by the way. Now this is created. That's all that we need to do from here. And coming back to the Visual Studio, we need to make a connection between our database and our project. So how can we do that? Click on View, then click on Server Explorer, click on Connect to Database, and this icon. This will ask you for a server name. This takes way too long, so in order to avoid that, what you can do is just go here, right click here, and click on properties, click on copy this, and after you've copied this, just paste it here, and this will appear. By the way, you can do this from here as well. No need to go there and copy that. It just makes things a lot faster. Okay, now it's asking for a database name. Remember what database are we using? We're using the database called university. Click OK. Now you can see that this has been added here, our university database. Now we can see different tables here, employees and web employees. uh, Now what do we need to do other than these? Now we're going to enable the functionality of all of these buttons. Let's click on insert, and before moving on, we are going to make a class called dbcon, and that class will help us connect to the database and run queries on the database. Now let's add that class. Right click on web CRUD application and click on add, and then click on new item, and then we're going to click on the class, and you can see that you do not see the class here. These are everything related to web. So click on Visual C plus C sharp here, and now you can see this class here. And on the bottom you can set the name for it. We're going to set it as dbcon. Yeah, great. Okay, this is the class that has been created. So let's create a constructor for it. And let's add a few functions that we will be using. Okay, we are implementing a function called UDI. What UDI means is it's update, delete, insert, and we are going to be accepting a query, and then we are going to be implementing another function called search, and its return type will be data table. Okay, and we will call it search, and this will also accept a query. Okay, we have that here, and you might see like a syntax error here. So how can you resolve this? Click on this bulb icon and import this library. Great. Now we need to define some global variables. These are SQL connection con, and we can see the same red line here. So we'll click on the same um, bulb icon, and this is going to import our SQL client. Great. You can see that the red line has been removed. Now we are going to instantiate the SQL connection variable, and we will do that by another function called public void connection, and this will be connection string. We will be connection string. Okay, we will be accepting a connection string. I'll like let you guys know what the connection string is and how we can use it. Anyhow, once these functions are ready, we are going to like fill them up. Let's start with the connection. What we are going to do is we are going to define an object of SQL connection. What this does is this allows us to connect to the database that we created on the SQL server, and this connects this connects using a specific connection string. Uh, we will be using that in a few minutes. Okay. Now we're going to be passing that connection string. Here we go. Now first step is done. We have defined our con object. We've like described it here because we want it to be accessed in all of the functions. That's why we declared it as a global variable or a class variable. Okay, so that's done. Now in the constructor we will also do the same thing. String connection string, and now we're going to be calling the connection function connection string. Now that's done. Now moving on to update, delete, and insert. Okay, whenever you're dealing with any sort of connections, there are two things that you need to take care of. You need to open a connection and you need to close a connection. Okay, that's the most important thing. You always open and close the connections. Okay, so now we're going to be defining SQL, another object of SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command query and con. Okay, what this basically does is this uses the connection object to run the query on our database. This is what this command does. Okay, so now we are going to define a variable called check, which will run this command. Execute non-query is greater than 0. Okay, now what this command does is this just instantiated the object, but it did not run anything. In order to run our query, this command is used to run the query, and what this entire statement does is it checks if our query was successful or not. This basically returns how many rows were affected by the query. If those were greater than 0, that means our query was successful. If it is equal to 0, that means our query did not run successfully. So that's why we're using this variable, and then we are going to return this same variable, return check. Great, that's all we need to do on the UDI part. And on the read part, we have a few things. Okay, public data table. What's the issue here? Name origin. Okay, it's not letting me name it search. Let's name it read. It's also not letting me name it this. And why is that? Let me see. Okay, let's see. Okay, no worries. Let's move on. Again, repeating the same steps. We are going to open the connection. We are going to close the connection. And data that is equal to okay. Okay, so we are going to be defining an SQL data adapter object. This uses the same arguments as the command before it, SQL command. The only difference between this and this is that this returns data table. Like we can get data from our database and store it in this format. This will help us read data from our database. Otherwise we can't read it directly because it's not stored in string format or any other format. Okay, so What we'll do is use fill. This will fill the data table. Okay, and now let's return the data. Yeah, search. Great. And then now that's done. Our dbcon class is ready. That's all that you need to do from here. This class will help us insert, update, and delete and read our data. Now coming back to our uh, form. Okay, let's implement the insert button. On the insert button, let's define a few strings called string first is equal to fname dot text, and this fname is the name of the text field in the text box. If you remember what we set from here, this is that name, if you remember. Okay, so coming back to here, also let's get the string id is equal to id dot text. Id is equal to id dot text. Same goes for all other fields. We're going to add them to name text. Also, you can't use the same names as here. That's why I am like capitalizing some variables, and yeah, so you can't use the same names because these are already taken by the text boxes. Okay, so we have the email. Let's put the age dot text. What else do we have? String cell is equal to cell phone dot text. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2. And position is remaining. String position is equal to POS. Now we have read all of the data from our text fields. Now we are going to be building a query. String query is equal to, this is an SQL based query. You can learn more about it on the internet or from somewhere else. This is the format. You type insert into, now the table name. What did we set the table name? This is the table name here, web employees. Insert web employees here, and now we set the values here. And now when you convert this, as we need to pass some dynamic values, uh, there are sometimes issues like it's not passed as a string. Like we want something like this: insert into web employees name, age, these sort of things. Okay, but if you like type it directly, name, these like inverted commas will be messed out. So in order to retain that, in order to retain those single commas, uh, or we can say apostrophe, we can just type a single apostrophe, then add the field name id plus, this is the format that you need to follow. If you can't understand anything, pause and relook at it, how this will be converted into something else. Also make sure that you're typing the name in the sequence, like passing the values in the sequence, id, first name, last name. Now we're passing first name first, last, then what do we have, age, email, cell phone. We're concatenating it into a single string. By the way, we need to rename it into these variables, not the ones in the text boxes. So we have age rather than that age, email, cell, and lastly position. Do keep an eye on these apostrophes or single inverted commas, because this is the main reason for errors. Yes, and now we're going to end it. This is the last string. Okay, this is the last value, sorry. Now our query is ready, and if you remember, we've already made a dbcon object. We're going to be creating you can say an object for it, so we can insert it here. Okay, dbcon. Now let's name it something, dbcon, dbconnection, or we can say con, let's say. You know what, this will be confusing. Let's name it db. And if you remember, we were passing a connection string to it. And where do we get the connection string from? Right click on this, make sure the server explorer is open, click on your connection. If you remember correctly, click on this, then click on this connection string. You can see that here. Double click it, copy it, and insert it here. Just a second. Yeah, that's all you need to do. What it's saying, inaccessible. Now you might come across these sort of minor issues. This is saying that this is inaccessible. Do you know why? Because we did not set it to public. Let's go back and set it to public. It's here, and then save it. You can see that that has been removed. This connection string will allow us to connect to the database, and you can see that this is an error that has popped up. So what we can do to avoid it is adding another backslash, because this indicates an escape character. That's why we can't use a single backslash. Okay, now that's done. All we need to do is db.udi and then pass our query, and then check if greater than 0, we will add another thing here in the design, and that will be, let me just add it here. This will be called status, or button click status, and we're going to add a label here. You can access the toolbox from the left bottom corner. Let's add a label here. This label will allow us to like allow us to show if our query was successful or not. We will empty it. The text will be empty so that we don't get any uh, garbage values, and the id will be result. This is the variable name again. Okay, so result dot text is equal to insert was successful. You know what, let's store it somewhere. Bool check is equal to check is greater than. Okay, now we're checking if like uh, our query ran successfully. The result was not 0, so it will set the value of the label to insert was successful, otherwise it will select that insert was not successful. So let's try running it, since everything is done for one button at the very least, so we can have an idea on if our project is working or not. Click on this run. Click on OK. It's opening. Now our like all of the fields are loaded. Let's see. Let's add one. Let's add my name, Usman, demo, age 60, 101, email abc@gmail.com, cell phone number 1234, and position is manager, let's say. Now click on insert. Let's see what happens. Insert was successful. You can see that here. That means that our data has been inserted into our database. Now how can you check that if the data was inserted or not? Go to our like SSMS and right click on the table. Our table was web employees. Right click here and click select top 1000 rows. this will update it here. Okay, so there's some sort of an issue because you can see that we have a wrong value on the ID section. This is something else, but we can see that all of the other things are added correctly to our database. So that means we're on the right track. Let's go ahead and implement other features. Okay, so let's open Visual Studio. Let's see where did we go wrong, and let's stop this. You can stop it from here. Yeah, I used the ID function of ID name of the text field rather than the variable ID. This will solve it. Now let's go towards the insert update. This is the update. Most of the things will be the same. Let's just copy paste the entire thing. And the only thing that will change is this update, and the query will be changed. Let's see. hmm. The query will be update web employees. Let's see what is the format of update statement. Yeah, let's see. Update table name, set. We what do we do, like how does the update statement works? This basically works in this way. We will type update, then type the table name, whatever your table name was, and then set, then like name of the column that was in the database, and then the value that you want, and then the second, and then the third, and so on and so forth. And there should be a where condition, like which row do you want to update. uh, that's why the where clause is really important. So let's head it. uh, First name is equal to, most of the things will be the same. First name, last name is equal to this. By the way, these are hard-coded values from our database. That's why we don't need like these things here, like double inverted commas and single inverted commas. So don't be confused in that. Okay, last name H is equal to. Okay, I missed something here. This shouldn't be here. Not first, last. Again, look at the sequence. Age, email. Age is equal to age. Cell is equal to, sorry, cell phone is equal to cell. What else do we have? We have position. Position is equal to position. Let's see, we've set first name is equal to this is equal to this is equal to this is, yeah. Now we can close this. We do not need the position. By the way, yeah, we do need the position. We just don't need this. Now we're adding the where clause. This is very important. Okay, now our query is ready. Let's see if this is working or not. Let's double check if everything is fine. First name, last name, age, email, PS. Looks great. Okay, let's do it. Let's run and check. Now it's running. If you remember, we had some like wrong value here, so let's copy this value and put it here, and you know what, let's add another value called to. Let's add Hamza ABC demo, age is 88, demo, cell phone could be 789, position can be lead, and let's click on insert. We can see insert was successful, and let's see it in our database if it was successful. Yes, we can see that the corrections we made were successful, and this error was corrected, and all of the data is present. Now let's update this. Let's change Hamza to let's say at Sham, and click on update. Now there is an error. Let's see where is an error. Incorrect syntax near. Let's see. Okay, great. So I put an extra bracket here that shouldn't be there. So let's up, run it again. Do read the error, guys, because that's the only way you can like solve your issues. The issues aren't that big. Okay, here we are. Let's put something Hamza, or we have Hamza on the second ID, right? So let's update it to Ali. Let's say Ali and ABC 89, demo 1, cell phone can be 909, position can be lead. Let's update this. Update was successful. Let's see if that worked. On the second ID we had Hamza, last name ABC, age 88, email demo. Let's run this query again, and You can see that the data has been updated. First name is Ali now, and age is 89 now. Email is demo1, cell phone is 909, and position has also changed. That means our two buttons are working right now. So let's move on to the third one. Okay, so again we're going to be copying the entire thing, only the query is going to be changed. Let's move to delete, copy and paste the entire thing. This is like pretty easy because this query doesn't require a lot of work. Delete can be done without uh, like many column values. Delete from web employees where id is equal to, and now we're going to be putting the id here. Here we go. That's all that you need to do. Let's see if this works. Let me double check. Delete, delete. Let's open this, and we want to delete the first one, this with the weird id. Let's copy this value. Where is it? Yeah, this is loaded now. Let's fill the id. This is deleting based on this id, so we don't need to fill the entire uh, like fields again. Let's click on delete. Delete was successful. Let's see if that's the case. Click on execute. Great, we can see that that row has been deleted, and that's all that you need to do for the delete button. Now comes the tricky part. We need to implement the read button. Some things will be changed here because now we're not adding some data, we're just reading it. Okay, let me stop it. Okay, we're going to be needing all of these columns again, but the only difference will be we're not fetching the values, we're setting the values. Let's start from the top. The query will be simple as possible. It will be select all from web employees. That's it. And then we are going to be running, yeah, we're also running this. And also instead of UDI, we're going to be running the search one. Data table, my bad. Search. Now the same error, click on this. Now our issue has been resolved. Now we have all of the data in sort of a dictionary sort of a format. It's not exactly dictionary, but anyhow, we have the all of the data uh, from here. Oh, another thing that we don't need the entire data, we just need the data of that particular row. id is equal to plus id. plus. Okay, now we have the query ready, and yeah, we have the data table ready as well. We're passing the query to this. We have the data table. Now what we'll do, we will set the values from the data table to here is equal to dt dot rows dot. Okay, the name was id dot toString, if I remember correctly. Oh, sorry, my bad. This will be inside double quotes. Just a second, let me double check. Okay, yeah, just missed one minor thing. Yeah, the error is removed now. Okay, so let's do this for all of the values. We can just copy paste it. Then we'll change it accordingly. We do not need this either. These will be the names of whatever like column names you had. Let's double check. Yeah, those are the names. I think that's about it. And another thing that will add, if dt dot rows dot count, okay, so that's all that you need to do. Let's run it and check if it works. We have data from the ID too. Let's check if this is working. It was not successful. Let's see what's the issue. Hmm. There wasn't any issue, then why is it select all from employees where ID is equal to ID? Let's see. Let's try running it again. What's the issue? Let's see in the dbcon clause if there was an issue. Con.open st.fill return dt. Everything is fine, but still. Let's try running it without this. Oh, okay, I think this is the issue. Let's see if this works. Because we already have a value on the ID text box and we're trying to reset its value. Let's read it. Why wasn't what can be the issue? Hmm. Let's see what's the issue here. Let's try this. That shouldn't have an issue, but this is an weird error. Let's see. Okay, just a second. We have to run this. Hmm. Let's see what's the issue. This shouldn't be an issue, like it's really weird. Let's see if there is even a data. Yeah, there is data here. Hmm. You know what? Let's insert some new data. Let's insert one skg demo data. Okay, insert was successful, and let's clear some field, then read the data. What can be the issue? Let's see. Select group employees where ID is equal to. Okay, damn it. These are like such minor mistakes, as I said earlier, and yet, what can we do? This will make our program work. Let's start it. Okay, so yeah, the relay is being read now. You can see it here. Great. So that's all you guys need to do. This is the code. I hope you guys followed along. And if you want to create a new table in the database, and if you want to make like a table for finance department and employees department and all of those department, just uh, implement this entire project, and then just change the variable names here. These variable names will be changed, um, these ones, and the ones, like whatever name you set for your fields, that's the name that are required. This was an example for an employees project, and if you want to do it for finance or anything else, just change the names. The process is the same, and this table name will also be changed. So if you guys don't understand anything, just let me know in the comments, and that's all for the session. Thank you.